My husband and I have 5 kids, and our 2 youngest are autistic, and both of them are boys. So to film this video, I met with 2 amazing women. Rachel lives in the US and Rebecca lives in Europe.
My whole personality would depend on what TV show I was watching at the time.
Just be in my head going through like a math problem.
It must mean that I'm related to dogs and not people.
I was honestly afraid that something was wrong with me.
Because I knew, okay, I have autism.
Here's 12 signs of autism in girls. And at the end of this video, Rachel and Rebecca will talk about why most girls don't get diagnosed until a lot later in life. The first one is perfectionism.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, I will spend a lot of time, to sometimes the point of really a lot of stress, trying to make it like as perfect as possible.
Yeah, and I definitely get like the wanting the perfect score.
I play the piano, and my special interest is a singer from England. And when I play the piano and I try to learn his songs, I will spend like hours until I get it right, and it's sometimes really stressful.
At work, they do like assessments and stuff to make sure we're following all the rules and doing our job right. And I got marked down like half a point on something. And I was just like, had to take some deep breaths because it was like a 99, but it wasn't 100.
The next sign is challenges with making and keeping friends.
And I've had trouble with that. Like my friends would have sleepovers and stuff, and the routine would just be so different. My parents would have to come pick me up.
It was actually one of the things that my parents noticed ever since I was a child, and what actually started the process of getting me diagnosed was the fact that I had a hard time making friends, but a harder time keeping them. There was a period of time where I didn't have any friends at all, or maybe I had one friend that I would make a friend maybe, and then I would either be very clingy to that friend or not know how to behave, and then I would not be able to keep a friend for more than maybe a couple of months. I have a funny story actually. So when I was in middle school, there was a girl that I wanted to be friends with, and I went up to her and I asked, "Do you want to be friends?" And she said yes. And then after 2 years, we're still friends. She's one of the only few friends I still have. She told me, I thought you were weird at the beginning, because like at 12 years old, who goes up to somebody and asks, "Do you want to be my friend?" It just happens.
That's nice though that she said yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was funny because she didn't say it in the moment. I went into high school thinking that you just asked people if they wanted to be your friend, because that's what I was taught when I was like 2 or 3.
And kind of going on with friends, like I kind of had a hard time making friends, especially with girls, because they wanted to sit and talk, and that was something I wasn't very good at. And so the boys and some of the girls would be like playing kickball and soccer, and those had like rules and structure and routine. Like it just made sense. And so I'd be down there playing kickball and soccer and letting people know if they broke the rules, which wasn't the best thing to do. But
If you're curious that your child might be autistic, we have a guide for you called 12 Most Common Signs of Autism. You can click the link below in the description and check that out. The next sign is unsure how to act socially.
so sometimes couldn't tell when they were making fun of me. Also, their jokes, just I felt like they were a little immature. Like I didn't understand why they were funny. But with like adults, like I felt like I understood things a little bit more.
I love dogs, and as a kid, it was my main interest. Like I knew most dog breeds by heart, and as young as 2 years old, when I would see a dog on the street, I would run to the dog and start petting it. I wouldn't even look at the owner. And my parents, it took them years. It finally worked when I was in almost middle school. They taught me this script where I would go up to the owner whenever I saw a dog and say, "Hello, can I pet your dog?" Um, and they would say yes or no. But what was wrong was that I would just run away from the dog, like run to the dog.
I was afraid. I was honestly afraid that something was wrong with me because I noticed the kids at school, and I'd be watching them, and they would know what to say to each other, and they would all be laughing and making jokes, and I'm just kind of watching, like not trying to annoy anybody, but just trying to like figure it out. Like I remember in elementary school and then intermediate school, and then it got to like high school when I couldn't like mask anymore because they were all more socially aware than I was.
I'm not shy, I just don't know how to behave, so I just, like, keep to myself because I don't know how to initiate a conversation.
The next sign is difficulty with time awareness.
And I would go to sleep at, like, midnight because I would not notice the time passing by, so I would suddenly notice it was 4 p.m. and I hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch. And then I would notice, "Oh, I'm starving. I haven't eaten the whole day." And I would still be in bed, maybe, like, listening to a song or drawing something. Time awareness, that was a huge issue when I was assessed. There was, like, the time perception, and I did horribly. I either really badly overestimated time or really badly underestimated it.
Like getting hyper focused on a project, I'll forget to eat, drink, and use the bathroom, like just forgetting. Like when I'm done, I'll be like, I don't feel great. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And then I realize I haven't eaten.
Put in the comments if you think this is an actual sign of autism, or do you think maybe it's a sign of ADHD? The next one is needs help with emotional regulation.
The problem is when I get really intense emotions, I then struggle to listen. So, for example, actually, I have a very recent example. Earlier, I was really happy about the interview, and then I had music on and I was singing to the music, and then my mom had to keep coming in because I was so happy that I was being really, really loud.
I do need help with like emotional regulation, and I have weighted blankets like throughout my house, just different tools. A neurotypical person would define their favorite candy. They're like, oh, great. And they, get the candy and go check out. Being autistic, I relate it to like as someone at like a football game and their favorite team just like won the game. Like I have that same like emotion like when I see my favorite candy in the store.
When I'm sad or upset, then I can't really, um, I guess, like, control what I do when I'm really sad or angry, so maybe I say things or I do things that I don't wanna do, and then, like, I regret
If
it.
you want to know for sure if you or a loved one is autistic, talk to a professional. The next one is limited topics that you feel comfortable talking about.
Yes, I have topics that I can talk about for hours. Then my parents like bring up something, and it's just uh, I don't know what to say to it.
That's actually one of the things that I'm working on in therapy right now. Ever since I was a kid, there would be one specific TV show that I would attach myself to, and then I would know all episodes by heart, and I would randomly start quoting the episode out of the blue. There was this really creepy TV show that I watched when I was 6 or 7 with my parents, and I loved it. And it was called Haven, and there was like the introduction. It was like, if you stay in the dark, you'll die. And then I would go in primary school and randomly say out of the blue, if you stay in the dark, you'll die. Um, and people never understood that.
And I just be in my head like rewatching like a film that I saw going through like a math problem or something like that. And my parents would say something that I was interested in, like Iron Man. And I'd go, wait, what? And so that was the joke in the family because I would zone out and then I would say, wait, what? They just knew I was interested in something that they were saying.
It gets to a point where it's impairing in school because sometimes I can't even study in school because I just think about that, or even during school meetings. With my mom, she's the one that's around me the most, and ever since I was a kid, but lately especially, she's been pointing it out. So what happens is she gets home from work, and then I start talking about, um, well, maybe that singer or something else that I'm interested in. And then maybe she's going to take a shower or she's cooking, and I keep talking, and I follow her into the bathroom and I keep talking. And then maybe like 2 hours later, she sits down and watches TV. This happened a couple of months ago. And then she watched an entire movie, and then at the end of the movie, she turned around and looked at me and said, "You do realize that I didn't hear one word you said?" And I had no clue because I was just talking about it, and I didn't even notice that she was watching a movie almost. It's nice, but it's also, I think, annoying for people around me because most people don't have that much of an interest in some random singer.
The next sign is need for a routine.
I love routine. And it went back to even when I was younger, I needed a routine. And so like at 9 o'clock exactly every night, I would go to bed even like in high school, even on weekends. And so we'd be watching a movie and we'd be in the middle of the movie. The clock would turn 9 o'clock and I'd be like, all right, good night. And I'd walk up. I just, you know, just start to leave. And they're like, don't you want to watch? And I was like, no, good night. And like, I was like, I already said good night. Like, I don't know.
That one, not particularly. The thing is, I was also told I have subclinical ADHD, so I have all the symptoms, but it's not impairing. So maybe that's why I don't have a particular need for routine. Because if there's like a sudden change in plans, then I stress out a lot, but not specifically like routine. I don't need every day to be the same.
Yes, middle school, like I needed routine and structure. And I remember just like on the verge of a meltdown at school because we were going to math class and I love math class and math was my favorite and numbers just made sense. My math teacher said, "Oh, we're going to the computer lab today." And I was like, "What?" And I just like almost just started like melting down because I love just like watching problems get worked out on the board. That was just hard because it wasn't the same routine.
Environments, I do need to stay the same, but not the routine. So, like when my grandma changed her furniture, then I was really stressed out. Like, if the day isn't all the same every day, then that's fine.
The next sign of autism in girls is social anxiety.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of social anxiety. I got bullied a lot in school.
I don't think I have social anxiety as much as I'm just socially awkward.
And so if like multiple people are talking and like I'm trying to talk to all of them, it takes more energy because I'm filtering out like the different tones and it's hard with the different opinions. And I tell my parents, I really like hanging out with you like one on one. Like it's hard to be with them at the same time.
Like, I'm not anxious about social interaction, I'm just completely unable to have a normal social interaction with somebody my age. And then I'm anxious about it because I don't know what to do rather than being anxious about the interaction itself.
It's hard to be around so many people.
This sign is tend to copy peers to get by socially.
Pretty much my whole personality would depend on what TV show I was watching at the time. Even my clothes would change. There was a time where I was watching a TV show and I started wearing bows for a year because the girl in the TV show did. And I would start talking like them. Even the pitch of my voice would change to match theirs. They were well liked, so if I behaved like them, I'd be well liked too, but it never worked.
My sister, she was a big help. So she was with me through a lot of school because we are just one grade a year apart. It was helpful because I could watch her and I could kind of do what she does.
There was this TV show that I liked where there was a girl who was liked by everybody, and so I started copying her like a lot. So I guess my masking was more like copying this girl in the TV show. It worked for like the first part of the conversation, but as soon as it got to more, I guess, complicated topics, I had no idea how that girl would behave because the TV show is a TV show. And so it never worked.
I would watch my peers and I would try. It was easier to watch like TV shows. Like we used to watch. There was this show called Cyber Chase and it was about math, but it had some people interacting with each other, like watching it and learning about math, but also kind of watching it and being like, oh, so that's what you're supposed to say. Or that's what you could say.
I did notice that when we moved to Switzerland, because of how bad it had been in Italy, I had decided to behave completely normal. Because I hadn't been diagnosed with autism yet, so everybody said, "You're quirky. You should learn how to behave properly. You should behave like a proper girl, so just do that." And so I try to kind of like teach myself how to behave properly, and it worked for a little bit until eventually, like a year after we moved after COVID, I just completely crashed and developed like crippling anxiety. And that's when like all the symptoms came back up, and that's also when I got diagnosed. It was worse when I was younger, especially before I was diagnosed, because I was doing it on purpose because I didn't know what to do. And after I got diagnosed, because I knew, okay, I have autism, then it was easier to be, okay, that's who I am. I shouldn't copy a TV character.
The next sign is sensory sensitivities.
Bright lights, loud noises, a lot of people.
When I was a kid, we used to like go out for dinner every now and then with grandparents and the whole family. I was always at the kids' table, which I hated because kids were really loud and messy and it was terrible. And then at some point, I would be sitting under the table on four legs, pretending to be like, I don't know, a dog, or I really like dogs because I used to bark and bite and growl at teachers. I would hide under the teacher's desk and then start barking. I grew up with this certainty that my ancestors were wolves. I couldn't understand people and I understood dogs really well. So in my head, I figured it must mean that I'm related to dogs and not people.
Like most of the sounds seem like they're at the same level, constantly like needing to filter out all the stuff. That kind of affected like my reading at school. Like I was behind in reading. I couldn't filter out the sounds, everybody moving and the papers turning. It was just hard for me. And so I fell behind in reading.
If the cafeteria was really loud, I would be the one making it louder. I'm not sure why I did it.
I end up talking softer because the world is louder to me.
Every single sense, I have issues with every single sense. Like clothes tags, my mom always had to cut them ever since ever since I can remember being alive. I wear headphones wherever I go, like noise canceling headphones. Um, Foods, there can't be specific spices.
My sister, she'd be across the gym, and we'd be like in this having a school meeting, and everybody was there, and I was having a bunch of social anxiety. Like we could read each other's lips. So she was like, she mouthed like, "Are you okay?" And I said, like, I mouthed too loud, and she said, she mouthed, "Go to the bathroom," and I was like, okay. She just helped me a lot, and she knew like the teachers won't let you out of the gym just because. Like you have to have a reason to leave the gym, and so that's why she told me to go to the bathroom because that would get me out of the gym.
And then smells, there's many smells I really can't stand, like smoke. I just go back inside the house, or I force my parents to close all the windows if somebody's smoking, because otherwise I get really bad headaches and sometimes even go as far as like throwing up. And then like lights also, ever since I was 2, 3 years old, I would be the kid with the sunglasses inside of like buildings. Um, so yes, that's yes, a lot. When something was noisy, I would like do this um with my ears, and I did that a lot. Like a lot. I don't like constant loud noises, so like a vacuum cleaner, a drying, like a washing machine, hand dryers, but rhythmical sounds are fine. So for example, drums are fine, which is why I love concerts. Like I love music. If it's constant, you have like absolutely no control over it, like zero.
So Ezra does that all the time, and I never knew why he did it until this moment.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So yeah, because that makes sense. It's very possible that he doesn't like the constant sound, but he likes the rhythm and he wants to kind of be in control of that rhythm, and
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. So thank
Yeah,
you.
I've done that so often.
Please put in the comments below any other signs of autism in girls. You never know who you might bless with your comment. The next one is difficulty with body awareness.
I'm clumsy as a baseline. I like no, like really clumsy. There's like two doors from my room to the bathroom. Whenever I go to the bathroom, like or exit my room, I always bump into the door. Even though I've lived here for over 4 years and I should know where the door is, I wasn't really aware I had a body. It was like I don't know, I was always very uncoordinated and really clumsy. I would even trip on my own feet as a kid and even now. Trip down the stairs, trip up the stairs, everywhere. I can't really figure out distance, especially when I'm moving. Connection is really bad, especially when I was a kid. I had an issue where I would pick something up and then I wouldn't put it down. So I still do sometimes like walk around with something in my hand that I don't need at all, and then I notice I've had something in my hand for half hour.
At school, like I would forget, like I would just zone out or something, and I would end up like halfway out of my desk, like through the like under the bar, kind of squished in between the bar and my chair, and the teacher would be like, "Rachel, you okay?" And I'd be like, "Yes," and I'd have to get out and kind of reset. And it would just be hard to sit still. And
When you got stuck, did you realize you were stuck?
no, not until the teacher said something. Like I was listening to the teacher, but I was also, I needed to move, and I was trying to sit still, and it just.
The 12th and final sign is stimming. Now, if you don't know what stimming is, we have a video right here, 12 examples of autistic stimming. Stimming is something that I saw a lot when we were in the RV visiting all the national parks with our 5 kids. We lived full-time in that RV and had a lot of adventures. We still post regularly of our unique normal, so please consider subscribing.
I will subscribe.
When I was a kid, the main thing would be I used to like spin a lot, like a lot. I would just be like in the middle of a parking lot, just spinning and like spinning and spinning, and I would never get dizzy. Or like on a chair, I would spin on a chair, also rocking.
I stim, but sometimes it's not as noticeable to people. So I'll do like the finger tapping, like I'll touch each finger, like vocal stimming, like I'll sing just over and over again. It could be only like 5 words, and I'll just sing it over and over again, or say a phrase over and over again.
I'm not sure if it was a stim or a tick, but I also had this like humming thing where I would like make this high-pitched humming sound.
I used to like the Rubik's Cube, and so I would do it over and over again. The psychologist that helped diagnose me, she was like, "That's a type of hand flapping. You're doing the same motion over and over again. It's just not as noticeable."
Unfortunately, what happened was that with the masking, I couldn't stim, and what I developed was really bad skin picking. I don't know if you can see, but I have band-aids on like fingers, and so that got really bad. And it stayed ever since.
I do that for half an hour to an hour. Like I'll just sit there doing the same stem just to kind of regulate.
Jumping, I jump up and down a lot when I'm happy. So I had to stop that unless I'm at home, because people really do stare.
One of the main reasons why girls and women don't get diagnosed until later in life is because they learn to mask their autistic traits.
Female signs are kind of more subtle because we tend to mask more. Yeah, I felt like I needed to hide part of myself because I felt like there was something wrong with me, and I would hide it even from like psychologists and stuff, because I was like, they're here to figure out, because I knew what a psychologist was. I have to like be perfect on this test.
Especially, I think one of the biggest ones that I've been faking a lot is getting like understanding jokes. But jokes, if I see someone laugh, I'll laugh along with them.
That would kind of says you kind of mask until the wheels fall off, like until you can't mask anymore. And that's kind of what happened. Like I was masking, and then I wasn't able to mask anymore, and I was just emotionally exhausted, and I couldn't keep up with with masking and stuff.
And then growing up, because of my traits, people started saying that I was psychotic, and primary school kids aren't very nice.
And trying to mask stems like all day, that was challenging. And I kind of see like meltdowns are kind of like an explosion, kind of, because everything comes out. But I kind of felt like I was imploding.
But I have a really good friend that knows I'm autistic, and she's really the only person that I'm really ever like open around. She's very nice, and so around her I don't mask at all, but around other people I do, and there's like a huge difference. So I guess yes, I do hide the autistic characteristics.
And that was hard because you're like masking and you're trying to like fit in, but then you have all these emotions, and you're trying not to stem because you're trying to mask and fit in and make sure nobody thinks that something's wrong with you. Or
if you didn't know, both Rachel and Rebecca have their own YouTube channels. Rachel's channel is The Autistic World Awesome 2003. And Rebecca's channel is games_bond 7221. And there's a link in the description below of both of their YouTube channels.
But there's really nothing wrong. It's just I'm autistic, and the world is built. It's almost built for like neurotypical people.
Here's 12 signs of autism under 2, and here's our autism playlist. Remember, if you have an autistic child, you're in good company.